Meeting to order, and for the agenda, under the bylaws, we have to add to provide a bylaw for interim tax levies for the year. So that would be the amendment that we would have to add to the agenda. Do I have a mover to the agenda? Campbell and Hallahan. All in favor? Carried. Okay, declaration of pecuniary interest, if any. Noting none. Approval of previous minutes of the Planning Advisory Committee held February 2nd. Biden and Sight. All in favor? Approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting held February 2nd. And Campbell. All in favor? Okay. And you want to do a deputation, Chad? Because we don't have any other, but we'll just let you answer questions later.
Sure.
That'll be good.
One special, one more 7 minutes. One more 7 minutes to be approved.
Okay. And special council meeting held February 9th, minutes. Vauden and Not. All in favor? Carried. For the Reeves report, it's still cold.
Oh, come on.
And I keep waiting on Dawn to say that some water mains maybe froze up, but you're keeping the water running through them?
Yes.
That's good. And moving to the council report, seeing that the proposed tax rates in many of our contemporary municipalities are numerous times what the first draft of ours is. The county has had a number of people ask for a 2% at the county, and it looks like the county, if they use unspent surpluses from 2014, can mostly meet that. So I expect we set a county tax rate tomorrow at committee of the whole with a special council meeting for that. So that will give us a little bit of breathing room on the township rates, but with some of our neighbors to the east looking at 27%, 11% for other municipalities. I want to commend staff for the wonderful job they've done in working together and not being territorial to get us to where we are with the first draft. So thank you very much. Moving into the financial report, 6.3. Is there questions? Brock?
I have to look one up. But
Okay,
Oh, I have one on page 10. Check number 4223. What is the letter M?
Letter M, that's one of the consulting firms doing the feasibility studies as part of the Alice Monroe LMP project.
I thought it was an awful lot of money just for the letter M.
well,
gonna use
just like some of the guys at the radio station, they signed J.
I think there may be typos in this. I'm not sure what it means, but it's on page 10 of the accounts. Something called the letter M, and it says agendi fees.
Yes, that's the same one he was
Yeah.
talking about,
Oh.
and it should say it's agency fees actually, is what it should be.
That's what-
All
Yeah.
part of that feasibility study.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry I wasn't listening to you.
Trevor,
No, that's good.
Page 8. Viking Sides. Sides?
Yeah.
Says maintenance. What is it?
Was a plow harness for the front of the grader.
Oh, okay.
we have somebody to move that motion. If the council of the township of North Bay approve the bills and accounts. Trevor,
Just page 7. This means on Strongco. 5,000.
That's the clutch. That's the clutch, yeah. On the grader. The one previous to that was the belts and the alternator.
Okay, thanks. Sorry.
the seconder. Campbell. Trevor moves it. So. All in favor? Carried. The health and safety report is what it is. Director of Public Works, the waste management bills. Anything other than what was self-explanatory?
I don't really have anything, even unless there are questions.
Brock?
I just think that's a great example of cost saving. Thanks. Thanks for that.
Pat worked really hard on this as well, as it does say that in there that we've been meeting with Waste Management since September to try to hammer out the bill.
Well, that's pretty obvious.
Utility department? Anything other than what you wrote down?
Not just a few little events. Yeah, that Humpton new well can be installed this Thursday. Run the test, the treatability tests. We had the adverse in live, so we resampled 3 locations, and they all came back clear. So that was just an anomaly that was. And as far as the wind and wastewater, okay, so we went ahead and we got the variable frequency drive. Well, on Sunday, the high speed worked out the same order. So I assume what had happened during the initial power surge, it probably damaged the insulation on the high speed windings as well. So anyway, that's is what it is. And yeah, I'll be sending out an email as far as the management review. We're still working ways through that, getting that all together. And so we'll give you a few dates to work with and maybe tag it on to another meeting or something like that. But we'll email you when that kind of comes.
Any report on the new well, just drilled by, it's
just where we are. Oh, sorry, that's where the, yeah, so, yeah, it's been drilled, it's got lots of water, it's, some, you know, some good positives and negatives, but we're gonna put a little pump in it and pump it at a low rate to see if some of those will go away, and then, of course, try to figure out what treatment is gonna look like with that water.
I thought that's what it was, but I just.
Yeah.
Trevor,
Don, are we anticipating having to send out for William residents or the water, the issue of running a tap, or are we seeing?
Yeah, okay, so actually today, I don't know if I should mention that, but just today, Greg went around and all the services that were frozen last year as well, like, so we sent out a primary list about a month ago, and so Greg went around and hand delivered the run your water notices for the balance of it. There's another 30 residences that notified today to do that.
So it's not, we're not suspecting a wide, like I know there was an email last year that went out to a wide range.
It was, yeah, it got to the point in March last year where we just told
Everybody to run
just
it.
to run your taps, because it was, yeah. But no, we, to date, we've only had 3 services, no, 3 frozen water issues, but none of them were related to the actual, our services that are all within the property. So,
Okay.
so,
Okay.
so far, so good.
Good.
Ray,
I'd make a motion.
and
To accept the required change.
Rod in seconds. All in favor? Carried. Moving to finance, 2014 year-end transfers from reserves. Donna, you wanna?
Yes, please. So I've got a revised sheet. I've been working on this over the last couple of days as well. So there are a few more additions onto this listing than what was in your agenda package. So as you read through that list, you can tell which ones were projects that were started in 2014 and will be completed in 2015. So therefore, they're in your 2015 budget. And some of the other ones are relating to specific projects, either underspent, and if they're not going to, if the project was completed and still underspent, then we're putting that money back into reserves. One that I've added at the bottom is our gas tax. So we have $147,000 and $141.52 that was our gas tax allocation this year. As you know, we've been waiting to see what's going to happen with Mill Street. So we're going to transfer that whole entire amount back into reserves, and hopefully in the 2015 budget we'll have some information on how we're going to proceed with Mill Street. As well, we have the reconciliation of $23,982 at the bottom there for Blythe and East Wallinosh OPP reconciliation. I talked to you about this the other night, and it's going into reserves this year, but we'll be using its last reconciliation we'll receive under the new OPP billing model. So we'll use it to offset Blythe and East Wallinosh area rating for police this year, but we won't be able to access that again because there won't be any further reconciliations done under this new model. So as I said, a lot of these are pretty straightforward, and any of the rest of them are once the department heads have received their year-to-dates, they've gone through and transferred into reserve anything relating to general operations that was unspent in 2014. So is there any specific questions? And we'll be going over part of our budget process. We'll be having a part of an evening or a part of one of our sessions will be allocated fully to reserves, going through both our working fund reserves and our other reserves that we have on file. So we normally take part of the session and go through that line by line so that you know exactly what's in all your reserves. So that will come as well. But on this list, was there anything in particular that anybody was wondering about? Several of these are not our money. Some of the ones relating to the Alice Monroe projects and the Trillium projects, we're just the handler of the funds there. So we're passing that, we're holding that money, but it gets passed back through to those projects.
Trevor,
Yeah, so I guess this is where and maybe this will get funneled through our transfers when we have that meeting, but the ones that I see where it says operations underspent in the year, I guess that's where I come back from the budget discussion that says, are we budgeting it and getting tax money from the ratepayers, and we have no plan to ever use it? Is there a reason why? That's the concern. Like, if that added up to 2%, I don't know if it does, but if it adds up to 2%, then are we overcharging the ratepayers in any specific year with no real plan for that money in the future? So I think that's, for me, is just an understanding of that, because that's where I'm pushing back to the operations to say, do you really need it? Do you have a plan? If you don't have a plan, don't ask for it. We can ask for it later if you have a plan for it. But just because it's always been there, it's not to me, I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to the ratepayers of any ward. And that's just the way, that's just my comment. So maybe that more of that comment will come out of the transfer.
Yeah, it will.
So,
We'll be talking about it at the budget meetings.
okay, thank you.
anything else? There's motion that the council of the Township of North Huron adopt the report presented by the Director of Finance in regard to the 2014 transfers to or from reserves. Trevor, cite and not. All in favor? Carried. Okay. So there's the point 2. You want to comment on our next meeting?
It's just a reminder that we're going to be talking about all of these things again as part of our discussions now that we've had our year-to-dates and some of those types of things. We won't be revising the budget at this next meeting, but we'll be talking about what the department heads have done since the last meeting, basically. Because this is just 2 hours.
Okay. 6.4.4, Fire Department of North Huron. There's a number of reports listed, and we have to comment on part 5 of that. The Deputy Chief Krieger's here to try and answer questions, if any, on that. Right.
Chad, could you explain just this, Omafra gas monitoring project? What is that? It's for manure pits, isn't it? This sort of thing?
I read that, I got called at 4 o'clock to be here.
I knew 2 weeks ago. I said,
Well,
so
I do believe that is we're looking at hydrogen cyanide detectors.
Yeah.
I think Pioneer Feeds is involved somewhere along there, I'm not 100% sure.
On the monitor.
Yeah, on the monitor itself, so.
So this is put in, well, I guess it's not fair to ask you these questions.
I can't comment.
Put in a hog barn maybe and
Yep.
detect it.
Yep.
sort of thing.
And I think they want to do some research and things with them as the farmers wear them.
Good. Yeah, that's-
Anything in the first 4 that other than that? Right?
All I can say is when I look at this 2014, 194 calls, like I don't know. That's what you call real dedication. Our firefighters, plus their training on top of that, so It's unbelievable. I'm pretty fortunate. Darn fortunate.
Agreed, we are fortunate to have the people we have,
Unbelievable.
and I know they're better at their job than they are at hockey. No, there were some pretty good parts of the game yesterday. So,
Yeah, it's a good thing we have Phil Miller, that's about it.
okay, there's a motion for part 5 of that. Donna, do you want to discuss that at all, or?
David and Chad, I guess, have been working with this company. It's been advertised in different magazines. So that's about the best offer that they've been able to get. The only concern that we have is we still have it on the books for over 70,000, so we're going to be taking quite a loss on it if we can only get 45 for it, because I think we paid about 137 for this to the fire partners when we bought this back at the end of 2009. So anyway, that's about the loss we'll take on it.
Pardon me for smiling. There was a lot of stuff we overpaid partners for.
Sure. But anyway.
Comments from council. The suggested motion, Brock.
I move that we accept this offer.
Thank you. Rodden and Campbell. Any discussion?
Was that picked up here? And I'll wait to drive it to the Toronto airport, so they'll pick it up there and drive it back. Okay. And the gentleman phoned me this afternoon about 2:30 and wanted to know if it was still available, so there's still interest. Okay.
I just didn't want you going to the East Coast right now.
I'm leaving for Florida on Friday. I'm not going to the East Coast.
The East Coast good for snowmobiling now.
I'm getting ready for this.
All in favor of the motion? Okay. Thanks, Chad. Anything in unfinished business? Something that I was remiss about is 8.1. I will be declaring a possible perceived conflict. I definitely do not make any money out of or get any money out of being president of the Huron County Province Association, but I will not be voting on that. There is a motion on that for 8.1. It's, Donna, do you want to explain it's part of the list?
Yeah, in the economic development budget, we have a community partnership where we make contributions, and they're pretty much the same ones every year. And this one has been in that same amount, has been part of that contribution list for the last several years. So it's in the budget along with the other contributions that we make on an annual basis.
So, Mark, second. Bill?
I just had a quick question. This is just a straight donation in this case, right? There's no.
Straight donation.
Just straight.
All in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay. 8.2, Autism Ontario. The World Autism Awareness Day of April 2nd. Raise the Flag campaign. What is council's pleasure? Rob?
I would move to do that.
Okay, Wadden and Campbell. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. And 8.3, Maitland Conservation Foundation invitation towards the dinner and auction, the 24th of April in Brussels. There's a motion whereby staff have, in previous years, have put together possible things from the complex, such as swim passes, monthly memberships or something like that. Council's pleasure on that. Ray,
I'll make a motion because we did it in the past.
Okay.
We have.
Callahan and Kalunga. All in favor? Carried. Okay, council information. The email watch files were followed through. Does council have any opinion on the transportation consultation on Ontario's default speed limit? Trevor?
I guess my only comment is if we're not being able to police the 50 kilometer, why do we think we're gonna be able to police the 40 kilometer? I guess it seems to me, I understand the rationale makes sense, but if just by reducing the limit isn't gonna change the fact that people are going to speed. It doesn't, so unless you can police it, I don't see the logic in the fact that posting a sign is any better than what it is today. So that's my comment on that.
Well, the rationale is that it's safer if it's 10 kilometers, but to keep ratcheting that down so that there would be very few deaths in auto accidents if the speed limit stayed at 30 kilometers an hour. But that doesn't fit today's lifestyle where people have to move, and an example in our municipality would be Belgrave and Blythe as to the speed of vehicles passing through. And that basically Belgrave has been a very lucrative place for having speed traps set up. So
The length of that speed trap just annoys an awful lot of people, and folks halfway to Wingham. I don't mind.
But I think that was also a request from council that they start controlling this a little more.
Any points on 9.4? That basically the county social services are the ones that is worked through. So it's, while it's a program that some of our residents may benefit from, it's at arm's length because social services is handled by the county and we never see what all happens at the lake here. Trevor.
The only other comment I have is on 9.5.
Okay.
It'll be very interesting from a public standpoint as to what information is perceived to be public to the ratepayers when it comes results to policing, LTP policing. As everybody has been documented in the news, that it seems that it only goes going up. So there seems to be more of an intent to know what they're paying for. So it'd be interesting to see if this new accountability reporting transparency, what they're saying, is actually going to give ratepayers or municipalities or questions that the ratepayers are asking what they're paying for. So I guess only time will tell, but it seems to me to be a dangle of, yes, we've increased your fees, but here's what we're willing to show you in context. So I guess we'll have to see what it looks like, but I just it seems ironic that it comes out at the same time when their OPP billing model change. So
Bill?
I agree with Trevor. The timing of that is, shall we call it, suspicious. But, at the same time, I just wonder how many people. I just want to ask Denny if you was it covered in Central Huron? Sean made mention of the last council meeting in Central Huron. They had the OPP make a presentation. I question whether it's accurate to see the hours that they said that they had put into Central Huron in December. 2,000 hours. That was it. Of policing time. And one of the councillors also put forward the intent to pursue asking neighboring municipalities if they wish to share their personal, shall we say, municipal policing services with Central Huron. So there are a lot of questions I think being asked as far as where this money is going, and I don't think that this public reporting thing will tell you any more than what you know today.
Kathy, that's not comment. It's something that it was July of 2011 when Central Huron did their contract so that there was extra things rather than for East Wallanosh and Blythe wards. The slang term is we have drive-by policing. Sometimes it will be at a very good time. Other times, if it's just something like a simple theft, they'll get around to it. They'll write a report for us, but not necessarily the same day as the theft is reported. And it's all part of that greater Ontario Provincial Police, where unfortunately we have no control at all over the rates and fees that they charge. It's one of those things that provincial makes the rules and then they demand that we pay for it, and the province keeps cutting down the amount that keeps coming back with provincial sales tax and a number of other things, and the number of downloads such as roads and bridges to the local municipalities. So it's something that we won't decide tonight, but it's something that I know that from the county level, we are pushing for more rural and non-urban foresight and having Roma and AMO work together if possible to bring a few of the non-urban issues forward to the provincial government as to places where they've made the rules and then back there to pay for any of it. Okay, Kathy, you want to read the next letter? Oh.
I'm going to throw this back out again, and I know that we went through this before, that should we perhaps not be taking a look again at expanding the Huron police force boundaries, and perhaps this time around maybe consider looking at participation with their neighboring municipalities, since we can do that? And is this maybe not a really good time to do this, and ask Chief Poole to not necessarily go through the detail he did the last time, but to sit down and make a rough analysis and come and report back to us and his opinion about whether or not this is something we could move forward with. And Trevor, being on the police board, I'm sure has something to
I will go to Trevor.
So we had a meeting tonight, and so right now, there's one major thing that's on our agenda right now is negotiations with our police force. Once that is done, the expectation is I have got the study from Chief Poole. I had mentioned it to them with the chair, Arnold Taylor's blessing is that we are going to look at it again. The police service board is going to look at it again, provide the police service board with what we believe that to be based on current figures, current capital, current everything, make the report current. And then the expectation is if the police board so believes it's to be right, it will come to council with a meeting to let council decide on what their belief is going forward. But that is in the works. I will tell you that, because that's was a discussion tonight at the police board that it will come back through the channel.
Okay.
Is it possible for us to ask a slight expansion on that they look at, or just give a general comment about the feasibility of expanding it beyond our own North Huron borders, since there seems to be some interest from individuals on council in Central Huron, possibly Morris Turnbury, to do that. So, and not that we would expect a detailed report that they're going to do, just is it feasible and would it be cost effective to do that, and would it maybe benefit the overall budget for us?
Going to Brad.
I didn't hear everything that Bill was saying, but it strikes me that he's saying we should possibly work among others with Central Huron. They have a totally different arrangement. I don't see how we could work in with their contract. The other thing I'd like to point out is living on Main Street. There are a number of instances where on one occasion a car parked in front of our apartment got sideswiped by a person driving through. I called the police and they were there in no time. There have been a couple of other incidents where I've been surprised at how responsive they are and helpful when they get there. I'm pretty satisfied from my perspective with the service we're getting. I'm not so sure about the price because we don't know that yet.
Trevor.
So what I can say to Councilor Knott is that study can be regurgitated to whatever it needs to be. But the concern is that from my standpoint on the board is that I suspect the police board is not going to want to entertain going through a lengthy conversation about expanding the services if we haven't seen anything from Central Huron's council or municipality of Morris Turnbury's council, something that says, please look at this. If it's just ratepayers in that is not our position, should not be our position. They should be going to their staff, their council to diverge that information. All I know now is what we can do within our municipality, and that's to me where we stay until we get expectation from other municipalities that they're wanting us to look at.
James?
When we talked about this before, any other municipality wanting to come in, our services have to border on us.
Yes.
We can't drive through
Correct.
the rest of the municipality and supply Morris Turnbury
Correct.
with policing. So it all depends on us as a municipality.
In Central Huron's case, I'm not sure how easy it would be for them to wind down the police service board. That there's some pretty sticky rules as to how you change the level of response, and that there's, I'm not sure how much of it you got so far, but there's those rules that have to be followed, and some of them are pretty hard to follow and make changes. Level of service is one thing that is very difficult to change.
My impression is the only way you can change it is up.
Yeah.
Not down.
And I think those are, if that's the case, that's Central Huron's issue. That's not our issue. Like, it has nothing to do with us. We just do what we're asked to do, and that is it. You know, other than that, we let them have their own conversations.
Yeah, I think we handled that fairly well. Okay.
I just wanted to anybody's going to.
Okay, the 9.6, I expect I will be attending. Is there any other counselor that would like to attend? Yeah. I'll take care of that. Okay, a motion that the council of the Township of North Shore agree that correspondence be ordered, read, and filed. Callahan and Sight, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Correspondence, there's the Ontario Ombudsman's annual report. It's available at the clerk's office. So that there's motion for the order read and filed. Vauden and Campbell, all in favor? Carried. Moving to committee reports. Slide BIA. Brock?
I have a question on that, that report. The mention of the Blythe water tower. Now, I was approached by somebody from another municipality a couple of weeks ago, saying that he understood that this council was working on new plans for the old water tower. And I'd say, well, that's the first I've heard of it. And apparently the Blythe BIA has been talking about it. And I think they put Connie to work on it.
I have had a couple of conversations actually with Dawn as well, with the Snells. At this point in time, the Snells have decided that they are not going to pursue it at this time. They are looking at some things in-house, like in the family. They were still having some conversations. So at this point in time, it's sort of off the table for us.
So this is the old metal
Yeah.
from the railway.
Yes.
Now, this person who spoke to me belongs to an organization whose business is to restore old water towers. So he might be a rather interesting character to talk to. He doesn't live far from here.
Well, I will maybe get that name from you, should it come back to the table. But at this point in time, I know that the Snells were talking to a few people. Their different family members are going out talking to different people. And so at this point in time, they had just said that they were going to find out.
But it is a problem that isn't going to go away. It's either going to be fixed one way or another. All of the ways are expensive and difficult, but anyway.
Or moved. Or moved.
Or moved.
No, it's actually,
We've been coming for it too. So, yeah, there's some discussions, but Connie gave a good explanation there. That's what we got to. Smells.
Several threshers have asked me if it's available.
It's just joking. Yeah, they've been looking into it.
I
had one thing on new business under C. Snowmobiles driving on the sidewalks, municipal sidewalks in town. I wonder if a letter shouldn't be sent to the OPP, making them aware of this. It would maybe give a little more, if they had a time in which they saw this happening, like if it's general 6 to 9 or something, that the OPP could cover this a little more. Because there's really not much we can do by the time we call them. They're long gone.
Especially at 1 o'clock in the morning.
I'm gonna get that today.
The majority of the snowmobiles involved in all the situation are locals, they're not visitors. So one of the individuals that said, watch, you will eventually figure out who they are.
Yeah, but I just think we might get a little more crowded. Council sent a letter.
They actually did arrest somebody the other day on Main Street. So they were there on patrol with their snow.
Okay.
Snow. The first time I've seen them this year, and they did pick somebody up, and I'm not sure what the charge was. They are aware of what's going on.
Okay. No, that's fine.
Okay. 11:2, Wyndham BIA meeting. Questions or comments? Trevor.
I guess my only comment is, that's a lot of goals, 2015. I wish them luck. That seems to be a big list, so.
The BIA had just as many goals last year, and we got obviously the majority of them accomplished. So there's a good, hardworking team, and I think that this is, they'll get most of them done. I have confidence in them.
Thank you. 11.3, Wyndham Area Health Professionals Recruitment Committee. Trevor.
This goes back to every financial thing that I've ever done and looked at. Is the stuff that they had in here, for example, obviously physician incentive and stuff, they haven't used it. So it hasn't been used in the last 2 years according to the financial statements of $10,000. I guess my question is do they have reserves and stuff they utilize the same as we do, or like if we're requesting funding based on their expected expenditures?
The reserves they have are earmarked to each of the townships that put the money in. Basically, it probably could run 1 year on reserves. If the committee ceased to exist, those reserves would come back to the municipality that paid them.
I guess that's my question though. Like if you're gonna budget something with no actual plan to spend it.
We would love to spend it.
Well, I get it. I understand.
We just haven't got the doctors.
I understand that. But so that's my question. If, because that 10,000 has been used, obviously it's earmarked for reserves in those specific. Like that's the question I have, because if we're spending, if the income that we as a municipality are paying to them is based on expenses, budgeted expenses, and they don't spend it, then are we giving them money that they're not any potential plan to spend? I understand doctors is not, you don't have a doctor, you can't spend it, so I get it. I just want to make sure that if people look at these numbers and understand that just because you put 10,000 last year, it's 10,000 right number this year. It's a second look. It's all that, because we're asking municipalities, they're asking municipalities, all of them, Morris, Turnberry, Ashfield, so I don't care about them, I care about us and our 37.94%. And if we're giving them 10,000 or 37.94% of 10,000 with I'm using 10,000, but it is earmarked some, but if they're, for some other expense they're not gonna use, then is it, are we overpaying, or the ratepayers being overcharged for that expense?
The staff expenses must come out of this.
They do.
And they are required to hopefully come up with names of people to recruit. That would be an ongoing.
It is an ongoing. And one of the big things, well, it's probably the duty of the hospital. It's one of the things that the recruiter works with is there's only 3 of the doctors do emergency time. And that there's approximately a pool of 20 doctors, many of them recent graduates or that are doing what they call locums, to come and work emergency shifts at the hospital. And hopefully we get some of those to sign on. There's one of the brightest aspects is there's a husband and wife team that are into family health, family medicine. The wife is going back. They will be fully licensed. It's either July or August. The wife is going back to pick up an anesthetics specialty this fall. But if we could get a husband and wife team that would settle and be in the community long term, and that it is the husband of the team is relatively local from Center of Bruce County. But the reality is this budget allows operations. If we actually got the doctors, we'd have to do something to raise more money to pay for a number of the things, to incentives. And there is those municipalities such as Howard, Huron East, Central Huron, that use significant portion of the hospital that are not part of the percentages. And that it is interesting to see where a number of the patients from Wingman District Hospital, and that hopefully with the nurse practitioner, the one that is willing to do Saturday and Sunday appointments, if we could have a number of patients going to the family health team instead of the emergency department at the hospital, would be the way for us to drop our percentage from 37%, because that's calculated on North Huron residents that show up in emerge.
Yeah, don't construe what I'm saying. All I'm saying is the same as I asked our operation. Look at it to make sure there's a plan to utilize the funds. I think that's only fair to the ratepayers of each of the municipalities to make sure that they're comfortable. I obviously sure they're comfortable with the number. They wouldn't give us the number if they weren't. But I just want to make sure that it's not just because they've had it in the past, it's always earmarked that. It shouldn't be like that. There needs to be a plan associated with funds.
Anything further on that, or Bill?
Minor question. Are they dropping the golf tournament involved that? I think
Uh,
pretty good profit off that over the last few years.
Actually, we are having a problem getting somebody to take the chairman of the committee for the golf tournament. At the meeting we had this morning, there was 3 names that they're going to work with, and hopefully of something in the next little bit. The golf ball drop, whether there's a golf tournament or not, is definitely going ahead. So that, and that there's, I'll say the theater dinner that we've had the past 2 years, the end of April or early May at the Fireside, will not be happening at the same time this year. Seeing as ownership of the Fireside, I'm not sure who owns it now, whether it got sold or not. There is some work being done to look at doing a fundraising dinner middle of September. There was a number of quotes given this morning towards that, and what will work out, and what will work out for suggested entertainment for that dinner. Dates have to be slotted in and booked, but there is work on that. And that fundraising basically is how the committee has covered the percentages where a municipality has chosen not to be part of the committee. Okay. Moving on to bylaws. Bylaw number 13, 2015, be the bylaw to authorize the Regional Clerk to sign on behalf of council a service agreement between Waste Management and the Corporation of the Township of North Huron. Read a first and second time. Hallahan and Campbell, all in favor? Carried. And read a third and final time, signed by the Regional Clerk and engrossed in the bylaw book. Knott and Vodden, question?
Yeah, sorry, I should have asked this question before. I know Waste Management they have an automatic renewal clause in their corporation stuff with regards to contracts. Has that been has that been terminated somehow, that there is no automatic renewal?
Well, see, we had 3 different agreements that came due at 3 different times. So now we've incorporated them all to come due at the same time, but I can look into that further, but there was no.
Okay. I just know.
Not to my knowledge that there was a clause in there saying that it would just roll over.
Yeah, I just know from my experience with Waste Management that they have an automatic renewal clause in there that you have to provide them 6 months or 3 months or some stupid thing. So we just might want to confirm that, just so that I guess staff is aware of that clause.
But sometimes those 3 months that they needed, it was hard to get them to pick up their bins and take them away from the Belgrade Community Center. And at Belgrade Community Center, we dropped our price over $3,000 a year for getting rid of refuse as an operational point. And that is something that, by being a private non-profit, we were able to do probably a lot easier than the municipality would do a contract. Okay. Are we ready for the vote on third reading? All in favor? Carried. Okay, bylaw number 14, 2015. Being a bylaw to provide for interim tax levies, being introduced, read a first and second time. Vaughan? And not? All in favor? Carried. This is for a third cut, the bylaw number 14, 2015, for third and final time. Site and Campbell, all in favor? Carried.
Just a question, Donna, will you be sending out the newsletter again like you did last year, how it was broke down? Or is that's a lot of work, but
Not at this point.
I
We
had a lot
always
of
do.
good comments on it.
Yeah, no, I do that with the final, because right
Yeah.
now we don't
Yeah.
have any of those numbers, but yeah, for sure.
Council reports and inquiries. Something that I should have had in the Reeves report was that the ESTC request at the county for extra funds has been forwarded to the new county economic development committee for review as to their recommendation on whether or not to provide the monies to North Huron, and that would be out of the 900,000 that is in the county budget for the projects that they would do. Right.
Does that come back to committee of the whole, or just come back to the county council?
Their recommendation would come back, I believe, straight to county council. No queries, no comments? Okay. COA's report, Kathy? Nothing?
I like this new clerk.
We're really going to have to look to questions from the press for the public gallery questions.
I have a comment.
Certainly,
What a wonderful family day celebration in North Huron. It was great. 3 locations, lots happening.
thank you.
Question to Councilor Seat for yourself. As far as the police services board report goes, and you'll have to refresh my memory, was that just having the police based in Wingham expand and still operate out of Wingham, or was there talk about having satellite offices, for that lack of a better word? So the study that was done was that the office would still be in Wingham. Okay. It's just expanding the service to be Goliath and East Lawn.
Camera session, Kathy? Okay. We have a motion to go in camera. All in sight. All in favor? Carried. And that is proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land of the municipality or local board.